I could do 1,000 stories on Donald Trump's Twitter feed. In fact, there could be a daily show where we just dissect Trump's tweets. Now, I'm not going to do that because I'd like to maintain my sanity. But there is one that I want to talk about. Take a look at this. It says, got $1.6 billion to start wall on southern border. Rest will be forthcoming. Most importantly, got $700 billion to rebuild our military. $716 billion next year. Most ever. Had to waste money on Dem giveaways in order to take care of military pay increases and new equipment. Had to waste money on Dem giveaways in order to take care of military pay increase and new equipment. Yeah, the money wasted is on the Dem giveaways. It's not that your fucking $716 billion monstrosity is money wasted. No. See, look at I want to show you how deep the propaganda is in the DNA of our country, where he can say this and he really thinks he's nailing it, and virtually half of the political spectrum would look at that and go, yeah, I think he's nailing that. So, could you imagine a left-winger bragging about how much money we're spending on a national healthcare system? Stop and try to imagine that. Like Bernie Sanders, for example. Let's say we're in the future and we get a Medicare for All system, and Bernie starts bragging. We spent X amount of billions of dollars or X amount of trillions of dollars on healthcare for everybody. Most ever. Bragging about no, you can't imagine it, right? Could you imagine Democrats bragging over passing, a month paid vacation time by law in the U.S., because, by the way, every other developed country, or almost every other developed country, has paid vacation by law. Imagine a Democrat passing a month paid vacation by law and then bragging about how much it costs. We're going to spend this much money on everybody to get vacations. Isn't it awesome? We need to spend more next year, though. We need to spend more next year. Imagine Democrats bragging, passing a free college bill, and saying, listen, we spent X amount this year, but next year we're going to spend more. So vote for me. I'm the person who's going to spend the most on education. You can't imagine it, right? And this is the problem. The problem is you have right-wingers like Trump who have teeth and fangs, and they lash out and they're like, I want to spend more on military. No, I want to spend more on military. No, I want to spend more on military. I totally disagree. I mean, we spend more than the next 9 biggest countries combined, and most of them are our allies. There's so much money wasted on military shit. We spend $100 billion a year just to maintain our 900 military bases around the world. Imagine what you could do if you just chopped that in half and took $50 billion. You could have free college for $60 billion. You could almost fully pay for free college in the U.S. If you just cut our military bases in half. So I don't agree with the spending in that respect, but look at how they brag about it. You can't imagine a Democrat bragging about spending more money on education or healthcare or paid vacation time or something like that. And you can't imagine it because the Democrats are weak. They're also corrupt, clearly. But even if a Democrat is right ideologically, you never see them brag about spending more money on healthcare. But why shouldn't they? Because what Trump is saying here is we value military spending. That's something we value. So the cost of it is a fucking afterthought. If it costs a lot and maybe we're spending too much on it, who cares? We value that, so it's worth the money no matter what. That's the argument embedded in what he's saying. It's worth it no matter what. They'd never say it's worth it no matter what when it comes to healthcare. Ever. Ever. But it is worth it in the case of healthcare. It is worth. We already spend more than every other developed country. But we don't even cover everybody. We have almost 30 million people uninsured, 45,000 dying every year because they don't have access to basic care. So this just shows you the backwards world we live in. I mean, and Trump was the guy who used to point this out. Why are we wasting trillions in Iraq? Why are we wasting trillions in Afghanistan? When our country's falling apart and our infrastructure gets a D+, and our airports look like shit, and our bridges are collapsing, and our roads have potholes out the wazoo. He used to say this. Now he's like, oh, $716 billion. Isn't it great? Isn't it great? And all these politicians, if you say, hey, we should have free college, they laugh at you. Naive, pie in the sky, stupid, fucking far left. Idiot. We can't afford it. Meanwhile, I just explained to you how just the increase in military spending from Obama's last budget to this budget, okay, that can fund free college and then some. And nobody batted an eyelash. Even fucking Elizabeth Warren voted for that bill to increase the military spending. Democrats gave Trump more than he originally asked for. We have a broken country. The people running the country are ideologically incorrect, also massively corrupt. I mean, geez, man. He's bragging about the military spending. And by the way, it's not just going to fucking pay increases. Are you kidding me? It's a giant corporate giveaway. Our defense contractors own the government. They bought the government in the same way the for-profit health insurance companies did, in the same way Wall Street does, in the same way the oil industry does. Our welfare is warfare. You understand that? Our welfare is warfare. So this is what we waste money on, and they brag about it. We need to cut the military spending in half. And you might say that makes me radical. Wrong! What's radical is what we have now. That's radical. It's not radical to cut it in half, because even if we cut our military spending in half, we would have more military spending than every other country by a mile. So this is... Anybody who reads that tweet of Trump's and they're educated on how much we do spend on our military and how much waste there is on that front, anybody who reads that tweet and they know the facts, they'll just be like, wow, that's the dumbest thing I've ever read in my life. Dem giveaways. You know what that means, by the way? Dem giveaways means like, yeah, whatever, some social safety net shit. So helping poor people to maybe not starve. Ew, gross. Dem giveaways. We don't need that shit. What we need is more shit that blows up. That's what we need. Yes. And a wall. Yes. Priorities are dead wrong. But it shows you how much they value the military, that they brag about wasting money on it. You can't even fathom a Democrat who would brag about spending more money on education or healthcare, but they should.